Hello everyone, welcome here, another practicing session. This time with the surprising choice of music, perhaps Chopin's first Scherzo. There's a little story behind that. First of all, I would like to do more of these practicing sessions, but it's kind of crazy lately. Colin, you asked on the last update, so what about the book, which you mentioned the previous update? I did indeed, 1st of July was a kind of deadline, and I'm almost done. I mean, that deadline was not really, what happened was, of course, the channel blew up with that Lizitza video, which I've made a lot of videos on, not a lot, but I used pianist amongst others, her, in previous videos, so I didn't see that coming, but of course it happened. And then let's just say the captain needs to be steering his ship, which I hope I did the last weeks with responding to some of the most, it's still mind-boggling what Corey of Boxcolor had in mind when he started to make that series of videos, because he seems to be a reasonable guy. But it happens when you talk about tempo. All is enough to, I don't know, whatever. I think it's hard to psychologically reconstruct what is going on in all of these people. Just study of tempo, Anyways, that has been tackled. Today is Thursday. I am here alone. The kids are staying at my mother's. Normally Friday is my recording day for the Wednesday videos. Now it's Thursday because Friday. Tomorrow we'll be in Leuven with the kids. Alberto's coming back from Italy a few days to fix some stuff, perhaps on the symphony. We have to check that, make some recordings, also do the second roundup for the challenge. The first one has been recorded, but it's not yet on the channel. But we'll continue with that. It's important. But so a lot of things are coming together, and still need to, climb the ladder of being on top of everything. That's our life currently. Basically, we would have to build a team. That's what I should do. What I've tried to do several times. It's so hard. Anyways, not digressing or not letting this video this practicing session become an update video. We are going to focus a little bit on the Chopin first Scherzo. Reason for me being practicing Chopin again is simply because we had a wonderful pianist, talked to you about him I think a few times, who would come over around now to see how we could collaborate in bringing some Liszt transcendental etudes on the channel. Very symbolic music. It's not played that often. We don't have metronome numbers for that music, but we do have metronome numbers from Busoni, which are, well, same problem. Either you don't play them or you play them in whole beat, and they work great in whole beat. So for a reason that it's for all of you not hard to understand, but for me still surprising with this particular musician, because I know him for a longer time, talked with him a few times. He's super intelligent, great pianist, you don't find better. 100% convinced, and still the pressure is so high on these people not to come on board, not to be there exposed in this way of playing. Even if they would say just as an experiment, it's enough in this world to say, don't accept that. So guys, that's the reason also why I'm so grateful for all of your support. You are really the closest base I have, closest support base I have, and I need that. There's a lot of wind, on winters right now. Not that I care for being I haven't chosen for that, to be in the front and center as a symbol for that whole movement that becomes a movement. Didn't start all of that for it to become a movement, but it's happening. But sometimes on a personal level, it's not always that easy. But anyways, Alberto stepped in that gap. He said, if that guy is not coming over to do the transcendental etudes of Liszt, I'm going to do it because I want to play on that beautiful era. On one condition, you're going to do the Chopin etudes. And so I said yes, which will be a lot of work, but also great. Why shouldn't I do that? Monday, we'll have a young guy here, piano restorer. He's living close by actually. He'll come and have a look on the Pleo. Some of you know, some of you might not know, we have a beautiful 1838 play El Pianino piano. Sorry, this introduction is getting too long, but anyways, let's say it's practicing session update, whatever. You can skip the introduction if you want. That would be a perfect piano for Chopin. It's like the clavichord for Beethoven, Mozart. Was kind of surprised for people that that music went so well on clavichord that they forgot about the tempo issues. Of course, they came hard time and came in full power back when we started to play on piano. But that pianino, Chopin liked those instruments that will have a much shorter tone than a grand piano, much lighter touch, I think, much closer to the Viennese pianofortes. Reason I think why he loved them so much. And I think they will give a very intimate sound to that music of Chopin. And also they're changing what we are used to hear, like Chopin big Steinways with sweating pianists, you know, that's not how it was, I think. So Monday we'll have that that visit. We're 16th of July right now. That will be the 20th of July, yes. And we'll see how that goes. And that will be an unbelievable piano for Chopin again. As is this Fritz. For the early music of Chopin, he went to Vienna, you know, from Warsaw. He stayed with Czerny even, so he was very familiar with these kind of pianos. Of course, they were also there in Warsaw. This was a kind of piano that in those areas was very prominent. And no surprise that it works so well on this piano. I just miss, for some music, the bottom half octave, but that's not a big deal. The pianino has notes until C, so that's everything, and then it goes, so this is 6 octaves, F to F, pianino goes to C. That's also the, let's say, the largest compass of Viennese pianos in the time of Beethoven. And then, of course, you had one note added, 2 notes added, so the pianino goes to G, the Ra there goes to A, and then, of course, the last addition was pianos going up to C, which is our modern current keyboard. I haven't playing this, I never played this Scherzo before. I played the second one, you know, playing from the Mikuli score, by the way. Mikuli, student of Chopin. Those editions you'll find today on AMSLP. You should check some notes, but all in, they are great additions, and certainly for respecting the pedal markings most of the time. And if he adds fingerings, it's in the style of Chopin, so this is a great score to play from. I played the second one here, it's on the channel. Didn't have access to metronome numbers back in the days, I mean, even 2000, it's only 20 years ago. I tell that to Alberto, but of course these guys cannot imagine that there was a time at Kulak, Köhler, all these guys who gave metronome numbers for that music wasn't available at the time. It just wasn't. You had to go to libraries, and then for musicians this was not available. That's great about our time, everything is there. And some of you will remember I made a video about this Scherzo, because it turned out that I played that piece in 2000 or 99 exactly in Kulak's whole beat interpretation, which was, it's remarkable, and it's not remarkable. Once you're there, you start kind of feeling that original tempo feeling. This very quickly restored. Okay, enough talking. 8 minutes and a little bit to introduce you to this Scherzo. I've been playing this the last 2 days a little bit, so it's not completely new for me, but I will go over the music very slow, because I want to have an imprint in my mind that's very clean and very correct from notes. So every impression I give, every note I touch should be, as much as possible, a correct reading of the score. It's different than from my normal practice when you play Mozart and early Beethoven, even a little bit later Beethoven. You still can come. It's not always sight readable, but it's closer to that. You fix something, so you go over a passage a few times, you make a good fingering sometimes, and you're good to go. Chopin, of course, is different. That's not sight readable anymore, at least not in the way Mozart is sight readable. So I practice differently. So it starts with the kind of weird opening bars. like a cry. Tempo is dotted minimum 120 is a Chopin metronome mark, which would give you in literal interpretation single beat 12 notes a second. Even in whole beat, I think it's pretty fast. So let's just see where we come. It's a real practicing session, this one, guys. So, very awkward beginning. Of course, you want to have this impression of this chord, right? Then later on you have to... It's almost not possible. Also not necessary to hold the note. Out of tune. Pedal. Release. So pedal indications are in Chopin's. If you want to start somewhere to reconstruct pedal, historical pedaling, whatever. I mean, every composer they lived. This music was written in a time where piano music was evolving so fast. Pianos were evolving so fast. So you cannot say if you go to 1834, what might be true for that year might not be applicable to 1838 even. So you have to be always very careful. Chopin was known for his meticulous pedaling. He was famous for that. And his scores reflect that. And I have to say that when I played Chopin much more than in the days of 20 years ago, I was puzzled by that. And I always had the feeling that playing it on the Erard didn't really give me the possibility of going there, like really there. But of course I wasn't there either. I was still playing like somewhat in between, like many pianists who don't like the fast recordings, but I didn't go really back all the way for all the pieces. And so that was part of the problem. Also there, just the idea that it's not possible for pedaling prevented me from just experimenting with that. It's the same, it's similar to people who say, yeah, it's all not possible, it will be too slow. Try it, just do it, and then you'll see it's possible. And it's in the collaboration with Alberto that we came to a position like, what if we just did that as if it was correct what those people wrote? Even then it's not always that simple, but for Chopin, I mean, he writes pedal here. Release. Sorry. And here. And release. But then he doesn't write pedal here. Of course, this kind of legato pedaling today, or even in one. You writes a bow. So does he mean legato? Yeah, but if he means legato, how is that possible? Even if I go into tempo that is supposed to be like 1 second, it's like chuck, 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 chuck. it still sounds a little bit, if not much, non-legato. So if the pedal then is correct, pedal indication, then this conclusion is that this bow does not mean legato, but means like a sentence that belongs together. Still puzzled by this. This, of course, this fits, adds such a transparency to the sound. How much of an accentuation will be a key here. You have here, so he starts with a group of three. So you have this kind of, he changes the bar structure. Accent. You go in 2/4. 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 1 2. So you are, he's skipping there from, of course it's not unusual in this kind of scherzo, like it's coming from the minuet, like the old minuet, early 18th century. This was called the symphonic minuet in that time. Evolved to the scherzo and then also the waltz. Those two movements come from the same movement. That's the early 18th century, I think even French minuet. Not like the Viennese minuet later. If you go to the Opus 38, the scherzo of the Beethoven Opus 38, it's on the channel. I don't know even how it's that. Was very slow, much slower compared to the early 18th century minuet. So when people say the minuet shows that, yeah, there are many times minuets, of course, but this was the symphonic minuet scherzo. So there you have a lot of counter accent, but here's it's very prominent. So should I give an accent only on one here? Or should I give an accent on the beginning of the bow? Actually, textbook definition of a bow, first note, accentuation. So he goes piano at the beginning, goes to forte, forzando, and so only piano at the beginning. It's interesting because it's only always this crescendo. I would say, yeah, forzando piano and then forzando no piano. I would say yes, piano there, because here he continues to have forte. Again on two. These accents, of course, you can do whatever you want, and many people, not whatever you want, some musicians are capable of doing incredible things, giving accents even in incredible high speeds. But in a way, those accents reflect a certain tempo that the composer had in mind. And that's the reason why I still think 1 second, so whole beat for this tempo is incredibly fast. So don't pay attention to my overall tempo, I'm just all over the place right now. Still this diversification, is that a correct word? It's necessary, like this is not Baroque music, but it's still coming from that, so giving meaning to motives. By the way, if you just listen, this isn't your first practicing session. I'm not teaching here. I'm just, what's going on in my mind, I try to speak out loud. So it's like a real time, what I think, how my interpretation evolves, how I maybe practice things. It's just one-on-one. It's not something that I figured out already. I'm sharing with you my first impressions here. This low note gives an I would like to check what the tempo now is, but I'm looking for my metronome. Let me give me just 1 second. I will be right back. It's here. Because my phone is recording all of that. I don't have my digital metronome anymore now. So second is not a good day, the metronome. 1, 2, 1. Pretty fast, huh? That's whole beat, huh? And I have to say I'm happy that this goes that well, because yesterday I was practicing really slow, and so that's what happens when you practice slow, very, with your mind very close to your fingers. Not with the music necessarily. That's always very helpful. This speeds up the practicing process so much. Less than nonsense. I mean, it's really nothing. And this tempo is surprisingly fast. So we'll have to make something with accent division, no way. something like that. Let's just develop that, because I have not yet the music enough in my fingers to play in that tempo. I will kind of cancel the practicing session of yesterday by doing that. So here he has forte and then goes to fortissimo. That's still my classical ear, I would say. If I play like many listeners today are used to that, but I hear always harmonically. So all these notes must have a meaning, because otherwise it's nothing. So that's one of the reasons I think this tempo is really fast. But I mean, yeah, of course, presto con fuoco. Brings me out of my comfort zone, because this is kind of thing that you don't Beethoven didn't use this kind of new. Wrist movement. No way you can reach that without your wrist. Wrist use. I mean, it's very supple. I have to think on Moshless. He says, playing Chopin, my fingers refuse to take the harmonies. This must be, I don't know the date, but very early on, 1830, I think. Diminuendo, okay. Crescendo. don't know if you can see that, but he writes here very strange in this kind of pattern. Like this just is in the right hand that high, and then you have this quarter note. You see that here? So there's a line here and here. I mean, but what does that make of a difference? The only thing I can imagine is just give an accent then. Accent written. Strong tempo indicator. It doesn't make sense even going faster than a little faster than this tempo and whole beat, and this I'm playing much slower still. Oops. Let's practice the bridge. So this brings me really, really far from what I'm used to play last years. Thank you, Alberto. Oh, that's wonderful music. The way I'm happy to do this. This I need to practice. Yeah, this will need some attentive practice, Jenny would write. I want to, but yeah, we will be there and then we will come there just the same. Thank you, Chopin, for not changing the tonality there. And then it's middle part. I've written here a long time ago, melody comes from the right, and it's in the right hand thumb. And it's an old Polish Christmas song, Sleep, Infant Jesus. That must come out of the book from Eideldinger, Chopin students. Still with you, Alberto. Need to have it back. We'll get it once. It's very irregular today. This metronome has a life. Sometimes it's very, it's always accurate. Some days it's very regular, some days it's not. Which is okay. tempo already. Or a little bit is left pedal for Shivo. Okay. It's beautiful, but I hate these passages. Like this you never see with Mozart, early Beethoven. Like now you have no position control anymore. So it means you have to kind of memorize the notes. Not that you have to memorize the music, but you can sight read this only if you are raised in that tradition. They didn't look on their fingers. You should do some research on that, but a lot we have to do some research. No one talks about that. They didn't look on their fingers. And then of course this becomes like challenging, but if you are used to that, then it's no problem anymore. But from the moment you need to check your position on the keyboard, you have to memorize. Okay, so sotto voce. This is typically a passage that I hate to practice, but it's beautiful. Then you come here with this pedal. Oh, with pedal by the way. And so on. Yeah, this will need some work, guys. But I'm happy that I started Chopin. I wanted to do this practicing session with that music, so you could keep asking me where this first Scherzo is in a few weeks or months. This will be something more something for in 2 months than in 2 weeks. Les Adieux. That's the sonata by Beethoven. It's almost ready for recording. I have the Opus 14, number 1 is ready. And there's a lot of clavichord stuff, but yeah, it's all a little bit short in time these days. But that's the nature of doing things that, you know, let's say inspire a lot of people, and that's great. Imagine that no one would even care. And we just started. This tempo research just sets the floor for everything. There we have to rebuild the complete performance practice. Anyway, guys, I hope you like this really practicing session. Hear me struggle with this music that is definitely not sight readable for me, and certainly not in that required tempo. But as an upstep to more and projects of later music. We're not going to abandon Beethoven, of course. This is just like the preparation for what's coming next. Okay, I see my phone gives a message that we are out of time. Thank you all for being here, for being a patron, and I hope to see a lot of you in the next Hangout. Don't know the date of that. We'll try to put it in the description here. Okay, see you next time, guys. Bye.